In the words of the legendary Lou Gellerman, hello, dog fans, and welcome to the Sound the Siren podcast because everything matters, including, and this may be a newsflash to the former top dog in charge of our previous staff, recruiting. I am your host, Hooligan7. I'm joined tonight by the Darker Knight, otherwise known, or tonight known as Big Fish Energy, Hood Husky, signed in as Big Fish, and Johnny Tugs, a Captain Tug. How are you gents doing this evening?
Excellent. Go Dogs.
Doing well.
Doing
Hey man, it's good times on this side, man. Good times, man. Love watching personnel turnover.
Yeah, we've gone from competing for a national championship to actually getting into the conversation for that off-season natty. It's not the exclusive providence of our feathered friends anymore. I will say thanks everybody for listening and supporting the podcast. Please do, if you get a chance, jump over onto Apple Podcast, rate the podcast 5 stars, leave us a quick review. We will start reading reviews on the podcast. It does help us grow our audience. Please, if you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe, share with your friends. But without further ado, beverages for the evening. Tugs, what you got, bud?
I'm sipping on some Basil Hayden again there. Neat.
Nice. Again, keeping it classy, as you do. Hood, how about you?
Hey man, I got to prepare myself for the. I've been drinking a little bit. I got to prepare myself for this weekend. You know what I mean? So I'm just sipping on a nice little red blend. I got dinnering behind me. Got home
Nice.
late, so yeah, I'm gonna sip this with dinner, but sipping it right now in the pot.
Nice. And Darker Knight, how about you?
Is the dinner on the table or laying down? I'm I'm on this high quality H2O. Feeling refreshed.
Oh my!
Oh boy.
Exposing me.
Why you dry snitching? He just said, he kept referring to dinner behind him. I was like, oh, you looking over his shoulder. I was like, shh, calm down, shh. I was like, he's saying shh, or is he blowing his food? Oh, wait.
Wow.
That's how you do.
Well, if this is your first time listening or watching to the Sound of Siren podcast, this is how we. There are no subjects that are off limits or jokes that will not be told.
At all.
Oh, man.
But it is on the table. It's actually in
We.
And I do have a beverage this evening. I've got a Hopworks Brewery, actually organic, a Beastly Organic Honey Porter.
Nice.
Not too bad.
I'm gonna have to Google that one.
Yeah, it's good stuff. All right, moving along into stupid tweets. I don't have a singular stupid tweet to call out, but I think we might have mentioned this one on the last one. But and he's doubled and tripled down on it, and it's just at Jason Shear.
Yeah, that whole situation's awfully unfortunate. You know what I mean?
He had a rough few days.
Yeah. I don't know what type
He's
of
had a
dude
rough
he is.
6 weeks.
Yeah, he's had a rough 6 weeks, man. I don't know what type of dude he is, but just from, listening to Arizona folks and, and then watching his, demeanor and stuff like that online, it just seems like, it's just a real tough couple weeks here, man.
Dude,
I'm not a huge fan of kicking somebody when they down, because a lot of people, you never know what they're going through. But at the same time, you gotta be held accountable for certain things that you do. You know what I'm saying? Especially in this day and time where there's lack of accountability for things. So
Yeah, and you got to call a thanks but no thanks conversation is not an interview.
Bro, right?
Anyway, Tugs, you said something. I think I got cut.
Oh, I haven't seen a spiral like that on Twitter in a long time. It's wild.
Yeah. I mean, he
Ryan's
recommended a
last one.
break. He recommended a break for himself, and I definitely think that that's much needed. I mean,
And
to
that
be
lasted
honest,
about 16 hours.
bro, yeah, it was like it wasn't even
He
that.
came
That's
back
crazy.
with the Pinocchio tweet.
Yeah. And you know, just personally, I understand, you know, needing a break, especially in this whirlwind. You know what I'm saying? It's 365 days now for the media as well, especially for these schools that have like coaching and player turnover right now. You know, if you got the same staff going in the net this year, I pray for them fans. Y'all had a great offseason because, Lord, the opposite is stressful.
For sure.
Sure.
I mean, I think I was in a GC with you gents, you know, in the days before the podcast, where I think I took like a 2 to 3 month break. Like,
You
you
got
know.
to.
But any other stupid tweets?
Yeah, man. I don't know if this is one I've mentioned, but it's College Football Report. They said the most three, and I wouldn't say stupid, just, you know, misinformation. But the most 3 stars or lower drafted in the last 5 years for current Power 5 conference programs. You know, and now you know, obviously Washington's numbers were wrong, so I can't imagine what, you know, if the numbers are right for everybody else. But he has Washington's number at 4, and I just commented on the same thing, counting up 9 from 2019 to 2023. K. Dotton, Joe Tryon, Levi, Nick Harris, Ben Burkervin, Miles Gaskin, Jordan Miller, Drew Sample, Greg Gaines, and then a couple people mentioned Vita was a 3-star as well.
Yeah, Vita. I was going to say Vita.
Vita was a 3, if not like a 2, because I think there was some I think was a little wonky with Vita, but
And then I don't know, like, you know, I did 2019 to 2023, assuming that they were going to be counting 2024. But if you go to even 2018's draft, I think you have
Will.
Disley. I think you add Disley into there too. So
1 star.
And it's weird how, you know, obviously getting drafted is something that you take pride in, but I think analyzing NFL starters is also kind of a benchmark as well. And you got guys like Miles Bryant and even Alex Cook, who started some games this year. You know, and think of last year, Keith Taylor started some games.
Yep.
I mean, for the Panthers last year. So, yeah, that number was wildly wrong, and I corrected it. People obviously agreed with me. But, yeah, just obviously if you're going to put those things out, at least do a little bit of your homework. You know what I mean? So.
I agree.
And the number was off by like a lot. Like it was like double plus a couple. So, you know.
Yep. Yeah, I will say on the flip side of this, and what we're going to try and pilot as a new segment, and that would be the tweet of the week or the elite tweets of the week. I think we got to give this one to Debo Dimmadome. I think he's been in a couple of GCs that I've been in, you know, post CFP or pre to post CFP. His ad is at Chrysler Pretzels. And he was responding to a tweet from our good friend and frequent appearer in the stupid tweet segment, GAOUX Ducks, who was saying, no disrespect, but betting JJ goes number 1 may be the worst bet of all time. And to which Debo responded, nah, I once bet on Oregon to beat Washington.
That's his worst bet. That was an elite response, bro.
That was that's some high quality shade.
Drop the mic.
Yeah, I don't think he was ready for that. I don't know if he even responded either. That's the crazy part.
I don't think he did, because that's what Mortal Kombat would call a fatality.
Fatality.
All right. Moving into the first topic of our kind of 2-topic pod for the evening. You know, kind of looking at the coaching staff. You know, obviously since we last recorded, the coaching staff has been mostly completed. We're, you know, a month and 5 days or so, or no, I guess it's a month and like 7 days into to our fishing era. What do we think so far of, you know, I think this is not necessarily like, we'll talk about recruiting, and we got so many commits that I haven't had a chance to watch all of the film, so I apologize. We'll cover who we can, and I'll talk about the ones who I have seen. But what do we think of the staff a month in?
Off the top, I'll try to I'll try to remember all the staff members' names and things, but I'm extremely excited about this staff. And I would just say outside of Fish, just the support staff. We're only getting like rumors and a few hires in regards to a lot of the off-field staff and stuff like that. So as that kind of materializes, we'll be able to kind of hone in and focus on, some of the big names they may bring in for off-field jobs and things like that, preparation staff. But on field, I'd say position by position. Obviously, it sucks losing a guy like, Grubb, being able to whisper to these quarterbacks and things like that. But then you get Doherty in there who you talk about quarterback play. I think if you look at Noah Fafita and the development there, and not only just with his athletic ability and his ability to play quarterback, but just the pre-snap recognition and stuff like that for a redshirt freshman to be able to go in there and even know where guys are if he has to extend plays. So that development there, pretty dope. And I'll say Scotty Graham, a former player. Obviously, you have and I'll let some of you guys go too, but you had the video today highlighting his NFL career, his NFL chops, and then some of the guys he's even been responsible for developing. So I think as you go down the list, I think one thing we can see is either comparable, drills and skills with significantly, increased recruiting chops from the previous staff. So I think you leveled up all in all. I'll let some of you guys, I guess, talk about some of the bigger defensive hires. But Cummings is a dog. I think that's a comparable coach to Shep and a guy like June. So you're not really falling off there. Pow, obviously coming back. So yeah, I'll let some of you guys get off on how you guys feel on some of these guys. But holistically, just recruiting chops and drills and skills are elevated as well.
I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head with Scotty Graham. I mean, more impactful recruiting in a month than we saw from Lee Marks in the last year and change.
Man.
I mean, obviously, Pow is a returner. Welcome back. We saw what he could do with some of the guys we were talking about. I think in that undrafted or 3 stars that got developed and drafted into the NFL, Jordan Pow had a lot to do with. Certainly, Kevin Cummings, I don't think the Arizona offense becomes what it is without the work that he did. I was listening to, I think that whether it was Podcast of Champions or I don't remember. No, actually, I think it was Locked On Husky. Shouts to Roman and Lars that brought up, look what happened to Dorian Singer when he departed from Arizona and became just basically receiver non grata at USC. I mean, yes, they had a talented room, but there were enough footballs and enough passes to go around, and he wasn't getting any of them. Certainly I think that there's a lot to, you see the commitment. We'll talk about Otter Karras in a little bit. Very encouraged with that. I'm really, really kind of, certainly I'm intrigued with the direction they're going with this 33rd NFL team thing, having a Carroll and a Belichick on staff. Speaking of which, and the one comment that I'll make in terms of, I know that unique pressures and bringing blitzes was something that that Belichick, Steve, I'm talking about, kind of leans into as a DC, and our transfer from San Jose State, basically seems kind of tailor-made for a staff that wants to bring pressures from different eras. I went back and looked at a little bit of the bowl game for San Jose State against Coastal Carolina, and that second defensive highlight shown in that 13 minutes is it ends up being a touchdown to the opposite side, but Brian just blows by the tackle, and the only reason he didn't get to the quarterback was he got held. Kind of shades of Michigan in the national championship game.
Oh man, bad times.
I love it that I just want to say kind of go off on what you said about being the 33rd NFL team that Fish was talking about. We've lived it. We could tell you what it's like. NFL money is better than NIL money, and we'll get you there. We're going to get you there type deal. And I just like the recruiting is taking off, and it's just going to keep getting better. Yeah, I'm pretty jacked up about this staff, and I can't wait to see what they could do.
Yep.
Agreed.
Oh yeah, no, I was gonna say I love the youth infusion. You get some guys, some familiar faces, the Jimmy Dohertys, the Jordan Papows. You know, what I mean, coming back to Mount Lake, but then you have the young infusions of the up and coming innovative coaches, the Vinny Sinceris, the Kevin Cummins, the John Richardsons. Those are the kind of guys that you need, especially to go in those areas that we've avoided for so long in recruiting and getting a lot of those highly talented, 4+, 5+ star type guys
Back in Hawaii.
back
now.
in the fold. Mm-hmm.
Back in Hawaii now.
Mm-hmm.
Back in
Jordan
Hawaii, back
Papow
in
strong.
Utah.
Yep, and Utah, which is nice. You know what I mean? It's something comforting that about that we haven't had in a while. Where it was kind of nice. Yeah, you had your OKGs, and we knew those guys are going to be max effort type of guys, and we knew like it was going to be strictly on development. But this staff is like, hey, we know we can develop players, but let's not strictly rely on development. Let's go get some dogs. And they have a mindset of if you get those guys in a room, I mean, you get Jed Fish, Vinny Sincere, John Richardson, and Kevin Cummins, and Scotty Graham in the room. There's not many recruits are going to be able to say no. They're going to be able to sell not only the parents but the kids. And like I love Scotty Graham. You can just tell he's kind of what we lost. And when you look at our former receiver coach, who we love so much, but he's kind of in that fold, but a vet in a sense. But you can just tell like his connections and just the way he carries himself that he's easily relatable to everybody. You know what I mean? And I love that. And you can just tell, like, usually coaches come out there and they tell you what you want to hear, but Fish is actually, I mean, when he assembles a staff, you could tell they have one goal in mind. When he says he wants to have the best recruiting class, in 2025, like he means it. He's not just saying it to be like, yeah, maybe. No, he's aiming to do that, and he's going to make sure the faces around the program, whether externally, internally, you're going to see a lot of, NFL high quality guys. You're going to have guys come and talk to the team. You're going to see a lot of branding for UW football that we haven't seen before, but a lot of behind the scenes that you haven't seen before. And you just tell he's marketing it like an NFL franchise. And I think that's what he's speaking to the 33rd NFL team.
There was also too, I really didn't apply a lot of pressure to, I'd say, Lake his last year, and then Kalen in regards to recruiting, just because, a lot of guys, when they commit here, they're here for the long haul. And, it's not like especially a lot of those guys in that 2018, 2019, 2020 class, they were kind of in this for the long haul. So I kind of gave the last two previous staffs, passes in regards to high school recruiting, just because of the classification balance on the team was just a little odd. You kind of lose out on guys like Connerly. He says things like, I didn't want to have to wait 2-3 years to touch the field. And that was kind of the roster composition for the past 3 years. So it was tough to really recruit impact players and really sell them on the early playing time that, there's blue bloods that can offer that. Like Washington didn't stand out in that regard. Like, why am I going to sit at Washington? I'd sit at Alabama or I'd sit at Texas. But, so I think you've kind of gotten rid of that with a lot of this current class leaving. You get rid of a lot of those guys. And Randy, you still are going to have a lot of guys from 2019 and 2020's team here. But there's a lot more available playing time now. So, we talked about, I think last pod, about potential freshmen playing and things like that. You now have that availability.
The staff is going to do it.
Exactly. So when you talk about 2025 recruiting, a top tier class, it's because you now have the availability too to be able to pitch that. So unlike the last 4 or 5 years.
To that point, like, no disrespect to Josh Connerly, but with the play that we've seen to tackle over the last 2 years with Troy and Roger, who is he playing inside? I mean, maybe he plays inside.
Exactly.
He plays guard instead, and Nate or Julius
and Connerly is simply like more of like an example of what we weren't able to offer a lot of these high profile kids, you know, that wanted to come in here and play. You know, it's rare that you're going to find a Cormani McLean that has so much respect for the staff that he's going to decide to be a high level 5-star and, you know, sit on the bench for the first year. It's rare you're going to find those guys, and we can, like, UW attracts those, but I think with this go around, you're going to see a lot more. There's a lot more room for instant impact high school freshmen, and this staff is that type of staff that has the chops to bring people in.
Yeah, and we weren't, you know, both from a staff. Let's call a spade at the time, both from a staff perspective and a Motley Futures perspective and an athletic department perspective. We weren't playing the game.
No.
We're playing the game now. We are playing that game, and and it's pressure, and it's something else that I appreciate about Fisch is, like, you know, everybody's like, oh, you know, Arizona fans, everybody's like, oh, he's going to leave in 2 years, he's going to leave next year, whatever, and it's like, yeah, and that's actually a positive. That could be, like, if he does, that means we as a fan base need to continue to put pressure on Motley fan base and the athletic department, because they didn't necessarily step up to the extent needed. Like, the department stepped up and Motley Future stepped up to every extent possible with DeBoer for what DeBoer was looking for.
Yeah.
And he bounced. That's not on them. And Fisch could leave as well. It's possible that, like, that happens again, where the department and Motley Futures step up and there's still an opportunity, like, newsflash to all of the Michigan fans having a meltdown and trying to, you know, come for the head of Ward Manuel. An NFL head coaching job is better than any college job in the country, because you don't have the 24/7, 365-day responsibility to recruit. I don't care who you are. I don't care if Alabama is a 7 times in a row national championship. If a serious NFL job with a serious franchise comes open and a sitting Alabama coach is going to leave for that job, heck, even a semi-serious or a halfway serious, in a year or two, a coach at Alabama is going to leave for that job.
Well, so it's not even, and we saw today, it's not even, you know, the NFL. It's just the label of a head coach at a collegiate program now. You know, you saw the head coach of Georgia State leave to take tight ends coach at South Carolina today. You know what I mean? A lot of the pressures of head coach has just gotten unreal, and you know, there is, you know, the game can adjust, the rules can adjust to keep these guys, you know, here for a longer time. But the way it's kind of going now, it's not enticing any head coach. Head coach is the toughest job right now in all of football, I would say, in college football.
Absolutely. Well, and I think, and the other big thing about it is what you're going to see, and I don't think you can necessarily use Chip Kelly as the shining beacon as an example, because Chip Kelly didn't give a shit. From the day he stepped on campus at UCLA, Chip Kelly did not give a fuck other than getting paid. But we are in an era where we are going to see the continued separation and stratification of the haves and the have-nots, the power four, the power two, you know, what is the power four? What is essentially like, hey, look at our new head coach. We got Jedd Fisch because we are a power two program, and Arizona is not.
Yep.
And we're acting from a departmental and an NIL initiative and fan base. We are acting like a program that belongs in the conversation as one of the best 20 programs in college football, period. And that's the pressure that we need to keep on. I'm very happy as a Husky fan because we're stepping up. We need to continue to do that.
And I appreciate the last sentence there, man. Like, I understand, you know, the 11 wins, you know, the 14 wins. It's real easy to kind of just put your hands up and be like, yo, I'm going to trust the process. I'm going to trust these guys. Nah, it's our job as fans, you know, and using our platforms to hold them accountable, to keep the ball rolling, to keep the wheel rolling. You know, and that's part of the stress of being a head coach, right? Like, you know, a lot of fans put the majority of that pressure on people, but at the same time, you know, we can't be blinded by, you know, the on-field success while we actively ignore the lack of, you know, recruiting chops of some of the guys that are on staff. You know, and I'm not assuming that that's going to happen moving forward, but we still got to make sure, because then now it's like, what's funny is the narratives that I was talking about and saying, you know, we're going to lose a bunch of people this year. I was saying it all during the season. You know, we're going to lose a bunch of people. where are the instant impact portal guys? Where are the instant impact high school guys? And then it's funny, I got like told, don't worry about that, trust the process. But then when DeBoer leaves, they start talking about how DeBoer can't recruit. So it was kind of interesting how that kind of played out.
It would have. I think DeBoer had, and I will give him this amount of credit, and that staff, if he'd stayed and the staff had stayed together, which I mean, like, let's be honest,
they would have had their best year this year.
Yeah.
They would have had their best year in recruiting, like even with a step back, with everybody leaving. That system with the talent that we still had in place, Parker would still be a Husky. There's a number of players that are elsewhere now that probably would still be Huskies. We were still going to be probably something in the vicinity of a 9 to 10 win program next year with the previous staff, just because the system is that fucking effective. Ryan Grubb is not the head coach, or is not the offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks if Kalen DeBoer is still the head coach at the University of Washington.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a perfect, happening. I would trade that staff for this staff, and the results of the last 2 years, I would take that trade all day, every day, bro.
Yeah, I'll take the road that we took and what we have now versus, say, that staff having a bigger learning curve and being here another year or two to have us on that ride and then trying to figure it out 2 years from now. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. See you next. And like, if Jed leaves, thank you. Recruit like you promised us, or even if you don't have the best class, but you land a top 10 class. We've proven that we're as a school and a program that we will pay top dollar for a head coach.
Uh-huh.
You don't think that when Jed leaves, if he recruits like this staff is capable of, that there's not going to be a line out the door to be the next head coach at the University of Washington? Yeah. Come on now.
I'm going into his hiring as he's going to be gone in 3 years, if not sooner. Like, whatever, as long as he recruits, leaves us in a good spot, I'm okay with it. Like, I'm not gonna be happy about it, but like, that's just the nature of the beast it is now. Like, whatever.
And to think the momentum that we have with all these staff hirings, we still have one spot open. So we ain't even shook the spot in regards to that linebacker room. You know what I mean? We haven't even got to what that name is going to be. And even if it's a name that's under the rug, they've already done a phenomenal job so far. But if you can make that a splash hire, that's one of the things we were talking about, in regards to comparing our staffs to other staffs around the country. Is just, on the surface, like, not all the time does this guy got to be a great teacher of the sport. Like, you can leave that to some of the not GAs, but like the analysts or some of the drillers, some of the assistant coaches in the rooms and things like that. You can leave that to that. We just need you to sometimes to bring these guys in the room. You know what I mean?
And speaking of analysts or people that might be contributing part-time, but not necessarily, by no means on like a staff basis.
Whoa.
Two guys with relatively famous last names that are drawing salaries from the University of Washington, and a couple of guys that know a little bit about football that are going to be around that building.
Some Mount Rushmore type ish.
Just a little bit.
Some Mount Rushmore type ish on this side, man.
Pete
grab your cutoff hoodies everywhere.
What was that, Kellen?
I'm a cop.
Grab your cutoff hoodies everywhere.
Oh,
I'm gonna cop one. I'm not gonna grow out a mullet. That's not gonna happen.
Oh man, that ain't happening.
That would not be a good look for me.
For a lot of
Pete,
business in the front and party in the back.
I don't have enough hair up front to call it business in the front.
Nasty work, bro. That's crazy work right there.
But I just think that there's so much to be excited about. I'm really intrigued to see, like, what Vinny Sunseri brings with his, national championship pedigree at Alabama, with his experience in the NFL. Certainly great to have Coach Doherty and Coach Pow back. Coach Kafusi. Tyler Owens did a job too. Like, yes,
hell yeah.
McKeefrey and McKeefrey did a hell of a job with this team. But it's not. I don't think we've gone from Coach McKeefrey to Ivan Lewis.
Jeez.
And who's
Ivan catching strays?
Do you guys know who the man? I don't know why I'm blanking right now, but do you guys know who the speed coach is. I
Oh,
know they. Oh man, I was about. John Shaw. There we go.
yeah.
Yeah, I about to say I
There
was
we
just
go.
looking at that.
So
Yeah,
one
director of
thing.
speed development, strength and
Yeah,
conditioning.
yeah. One thing I'll say is the last staff really focused on building the Troy Faltanu type body. You know what I mean? Just kind of that super big, athletic, powerful kind of guy. It was like strength and endurance. I think with this strength and conditioning staff, you're going to see more speed and lean athletes and the lean athleticism, with also coupled with that endurance. So I do think you'll see team speed go up. I think last offseason and the previous offseason, we saw some weight fluctuations that were a little interesting. Guys getting heavier. Guys like Braylon Trice getting up to 270, 275 back-to-back years. Things like that. So I think we'll definitely see a little bit more slimming down of a lot of the skilled players and a lot of guys, I would say, in the linebacker room that need to kind of go sideline to sideline. Maybe even in the D-line. So.
Yep. And I think that the name that we haven't talked a lot about, and I'm going to make this comp in the best way possible in all of the positive aspects of what this guy brought to the program. But if you're looking for Jimmy Lake 2.0, up until the point where he was our defensive coordinator, it's John Richardson. I mean it, like I said, in all the best ways possible, and with a schematic style with this defense and what this staff likes to do, that's going to lend itself even more toward really good defensive play and continued putting people at that position into the NFL. This team likes to play, like this staff likes to play man, and you see that with Ephesians Pricesock. Like you see that with why EJ stayed around. Like I was gonna say it when I'll save this my follow-up comment when we get to the commits part of the discussion, but good things are ahead.
Yeah, I think the body type is the main thing on the outsides too. And then with Pricesock, I think a lot of the NFL is going towards having that fifth DB. And that fifth DB was typically it had to be I'd say Trent McDuffie was always the slot prototypical kind of body type. But
best corner in the NFL,
Ravens kind of. And even the Patriots with Miles Bryant, like, why are slot guys always have to match the size and speed and short area quickness of the short scat receiver? Like, no, how about you get an elite athlete like Kyle Hamilton and put him at that position? And I feel like, we saw how size, speed, and length and athleticism can make an impact on the game. From that fifth DB spot. And I think Ephesians can definitely be that guy. I don't know if I would pigeonhole him, especially with the depth at corner. If I would pigeonhole him as a corner, I don't know what they're going to do, but I definitely would have him just kind of roaming the field for sure.
Well, and it's like, and the thing is, and I think you hit nail on head there. There is not a form, like, this isn't this is the formation, this is what we're going to be doing defensively all the time with this staff. That's just not, like, even to a much greater extent than our previous staff. This is multiple all over the place. Like, they will go from offensively, I think we talked about it a couple episodes ago, right after Fisch got hired, where they'll go from under center to shotgun to under center to shotgun.
Yep.
On the defensive side of the ball, they're going to go from, maybe 4 linemen, maybe 5 linemen to 2, 3 linebackers, 4 linebackers, 4 corners and a safety. I mean, any number of Swiss Army knife shit.
Well,
ideas.
I mean, to that point, this will be the first time since the 2016 team where, just from a production standpoint, where we can have explosive offense and a high producing defense. Like, it doesn't have to be this high octane offense and then a bend but don't break defense. It doesn't have to be this elite defense with a, offense that's just relying on running the ball. Because, so I think you now run into the first time since 2016, and the first time I'd say consistently since maybe Sarkisian, where you have, that offense and defense have star power, star players. Both sides are making plays because of talent, not because of scheme always. And there's this bend but don't break philosophy that's going to be out the window now. So,
yep,
you're going to have the personnel and the coaching chops to match. And then, last tidbit I'll say is just when we're talking about the staff, man. I think we went from 49 scholarship athletes a couple weeks ago to I think we're at 74 now. I think we got 10, 11 spots available. So, people want to talk about, especially in some of the GCs me and Hooligan are on, and a lot of people want to talk about, look at the bare bones of their two deeps, bro. Look at other than 2-3 people on those lists, we were prepared for them to go anyway. You know what I mean? So you're not telling us something we didn't know that was coming anyway, and also too, a lot of that 2019 class is still there. A lot of 2020 class is still there, so you're not losing the experience you're not losing your green dot on defense, so anyway.
And because we're going to be starting a true freshman, never played a college snap at left tackle, we didn't sign and the staff didn't retrain Drew as a party. Oh wait, They did.
They did.
We don't have, I will say, on the defensive side, there is right now literally one hole. One, and it's not even necessarily a super hole. It's a one body type or one type of player that we don't have on our roster, and we don't have a true zero technique nose tackle. We don't have that guy right now.
We're underneath scholarships, and we got elite players moving from defense to offense. That should tell you the talent level that's at certain positions on a team still, bro.
You're moving Vincent Holmes and his closing speed to receiver.
He said, "You know what's crazy? I'm about to go to this side of the ball."
Which he looked phenomenal in high school as a receiver.
Bro, the majority of his tape was on offense in the first place. You know what I mean? The potential on defense was there, but there's always that and it's something about Washington, man. There's always that one player per class that does this, that the staff asks to do this or wants to do this, and then we do it, and it's an NFL player. You know what I mean? So
yeah, no, yes, we lost. I mean, let's call a spade. What we just saw the last 2 years is the best trio of receivers that were in school and together at the position ever at the University of Washington. We've had dynamic, elite duos. You go back to the 91 national championship team. You had, Mario Bailey and Orlando McKay. And yes, there were other good players, but not a one of them was Jalen Polk.
Come on.
Ross and Dante Pettis and Aaron Fuller.
Bro, right? Come on, man.
Respect on their names. I mean, Roma Dunze is basically a locked-in top 10 pick in the NFL draft and could and should be top 5.
Right.
J-Mac and JP are going to be very, very, very productive NFL players. But that room is also not devoid of talent. But you lose Mike Penix and how special he was, and replace him with a guy that's second all-time in the SEC in passing yards and fourth in passing touchdowns.
They could sleep on that all they want, man. That experience.
and by the way, a coaching staff
will
basically sleeping shits out top 10 passing offenses.
In one breath, they'll say, "Oh, well, the person ain't won nothing," and then they'll say Dylan Gabriel is good, or they'll say Quinn Ewers is good, or they'll say, and it's what is it? Is it the production? Is it the potential? Is it how old is the player? The people talk bad. Bro, you're playing at Mississippi State, which doesn't have the cream of the crop talent. You know what I mean? And then also too,
he's a system guy.
You know what I mean? Any system or not, you know how hard it is to operate an air raid. You're throwing the space
in the SEC.
It's predictive now. Granted, they don't really read a lot of defense. They kind of just read space. So he's going to have to get acclimated to that part. But something a redshirt freshman was able to pick up. You know what I mean?
And it's not like the SEC is advanced as it is a football conference in the 3 years that he was there.
SEC, we ain't doing much reading now.
Or watching much tape of what Pete Kwiatkowski and Jimmy Lake did at the University of Washington against that offense that was pretty damn prolific at Washington State.
Mm-hmm. And now you kind of tighten up. You get him ready for the NFL. Will Rogers
in a
get him ready for
pro
the
system.
NFL
Mm-hmm.
in a pro system. Pro spread system. He's gonna have a defense that's most likely gonna have some turnovers and give him short fields. Those types of things. You're gonna have a running back that's probably the best returning running back in the country. You know what I'm saying?
And hopefully a healthy Cam Davis.
Cam Davis, if we're talking about this S&C team is a speed endurance, put a little bit of weight on Tybo, bro, and that's your third run. Come on, bro, don't play with me.
Well, I mean, and we may not done yet at that position. I am disappointed that I will say, as we get into the recruiting conversation, I would have loved to see Jacory cross Merritt in purple and gold.
I agree.
That trio, if you'd landed Jacory with Jonah and Cam, or that quartet with Tybo. Whew,
I mean, because they used three.
They used three. Like you were I started using it as a gift when I was a little more confident. Like I thought we were going to land Jacory. You were getting close to a kind of a Hydra situation, and we still may get there. There's other running backs out there, and I honestly, it's one of the things that I want to see before we start fall camp. I want to see another established running back in that room. No disrespect to Kim Davis, but the injury history does have me concerned. I don't want it to be.
Let me go look at that Georgia State roster. Shoot, let me go look at that Georgia State roster. Any O linemen or D linemen that are bounced back,
running backs
that are bounced back again?
A running back,
ping pong.
Because LA and Michigan, bro, like, man, they made some internal hires that are really looking like they may retain guys until at least that spring window. So when initially it felt like a lot of guys are going to enter, and now I know there's some conversations and being had right now. That's just the name of the game right now. But I'm really interested to see how those two situations shake out, especially Michigan's.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, well, let's go ahead and move into it, and we'll start. Basically, there is, in no particular order, I didn't have a chance to organize this chronologically by who committed when. I don't even know that I still have the full committed list of everybody that we've got.
You good?
Since our last podcast, but let's start with Audric Harris. Going back to Bishop Gorman, Audric is a 6 foot, 175-pound receiver. A 3-star in 20 in the 247, but a very high 3-star, 0.89. He's not the same player or a carbon copy of the last wide receiver that Washington got from Bishop Gorman, but a lot to like in that tape. He's got what I would consider is deceptive long speed. He doesn't look like he's just his legs are a blur, but all of a sudden he's 4 and 5 yards behind somebody like, oh shit. But what do you guys think?
My initial takeaway is he's got pro nuances. Like he's already got like Rashid Williams. We kind of felt like was the better fit to play early because he had just those pro nuances, the release packages, setting guys up in the route tree, whether that's working out with a personal trainer or something like that, or or a personal coach, wide receiver coach or not. But it just seems like he has a lot of pro nuances. I think I don't think he's Jalen McMillan, but I definitely see Jalen McMillan in his route movements. Just a lot of the head nod type stuff, a lot of the if you're a little more than 5 yards down the field, a kind of like solid pro nuance in hand fighting, like getting guys off of them that are trying to maybe hold or get their hands on late or trying to hand fight with him or inducing hand fighting, kind of gets those off of him. Just really smooth overall. So I really like that. And that's what's going to, a guy like Jason Robinson may be a little smaller. A guy like this is a guy that potentially can come in just with a natural, a little bit bigger frame and maybe play the 2 to 4 games freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
So really
I think they're different. I think Jason is going to be the guy that like, oh shit, we picked up it's 3rd and 8 and who found the soft spot in the zone and and wiggled free and ran the perfect crisp clean. I mean, like Jason Robinson, the dude is a route runner, like, and a technician and a specialist. like he may not be the home. Like I think Audric is much more of the home run threat. But the guy that's going to keep the chains moving is going to be Jason Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Audric to me was just savvy.
Yep.
Just watching his highlights. He can be deceptive, but he's very intent. When he runs his routes, and even after the catch, it's not a lot of shake, make you miss. It's a one step, go, get upfield. Which is kind of nice and refreshing to see in high school football these days, because you see a lot of guys that want to run sideline to sideline, literally. But he definitely plays like he's ready for the next level, which I like, especially coming in as a true freshman, and he has a shot to play.
Yeah, those pro nuances, man.
Yep. He's going to burn some safeties that like.
Oh yeah.
Take a step and a half in the wrong direction, and oh shit, there's a 25-yard plus completion down the seam.
His head nod game is pretty legit.
Yeah, what they don't talk about too. I remember watching his introduction, and they were talking about him on 247, but how long his limbs are. Like he has a crazy long catch radius.
Okay, I'm glad you cleaned that up.
Oh yeah, no, all kind of pause, all that, but no. I mean his catch radius, and hey, we focusing on the wrong limbs.
I'm glad you cleaned that up.
Focusing on the mitts, not the sticks, okay?
First down.
We're all out of pocket.
Hey, listen, y'all the ones who asked me this. Not you guys didn't ask me, but when I stopped drinking water, bro, and I started, indulging, it changed the game a little bit.
We already know. Dinner waiting on you.
Crazy work, bro.
Drinking that wine, getting right.
That's crazy work.
Getting your mind right to podcast on Sound the Siren.
Hey,
Shouts to Kaika.
I got tears.
We miss you. We know you're probably going to stay the DC down in UCLA, but we still follow that get your mind right mantra for sure.
Man.
All right. Well, let's move on. Let's move on to something that our current staff did that our previous staff didn't do in an entire year fucking plus, and signed an in-state highly regarded prospect. It's a guy that we've been talking about in GCs for a long ass time, and that's 2024 athlete, 6 foot, 180 pounds, 4-star on 247, a 3-star composite, a high 3-star at a .8853 Y athlete out of Garfield High School. Where if you go to Garfield High School and you are a highly touted athlete, you belong nowhere but the University of Washington.
Come on.
This goes for, and this is the mission, and this is the challenge for every coaching staff at the University of Washington. I don't care what sport. I don't care if it's our underwater basket weaving class. I don't care if it's our Dick's Burgers eating class or team. If it's a highly touted somebody from Garfield, they're a dog. Period. And that's Rashawn Clark. Literally, I have one word on my on the eval, or just to sum it all up in all capital letters: athlete.
Mm-hmm. Mine is 2 words, is ball magnet. It's super interesting. We analyzing offense and defense, just a ball magnet. Disregarding any deep shots taken on offense, just kind of that screen game. It's like hike. It's in the quarterback's hands, and it just goes to him. On defense too, it's like there's a magnet in his helmet. He flies full speed to the ball, which I love on defense. I think he definitely has his pro potential on defense. Whether or not he wants to return the ball, or whether or not he wants to, play gadget on offense or not. The ball is just magnetized, to his anyway. That's a dog, bro. You know what I'm saying? And being 180, 6 foot's dope at safety, but being 180 already is gonna be awesome. I don't know if he's coming in early or not, but I'm excited for Rashawn, man. The city's excited for Rashawn too, man. So,
dude, I mean, I hope he ends up at safety because I think he's going to be an absolute.
Agreed.
Like he's, you know, I'm not going to put the pressure on him of this comp, but like
I know
a taller, longer Buddha.
Come on. It's just that movement. I think he has better natural movement skills too. It's just, do you have that work ethic?
Mm-hmm. But that rangy, like
ball magnet.
High points the football.
What does he play at Garfield? What does he play at Garfield?
He played both.
Mostly?
He played receiver, okay. And he's shifty. Like he's got some wiggle for sure. But we're a little stacked in the receiver room, so I definitely want to see him in the defensive backfield.
I agree. We're more stacked than DBs, shit.
Yeah. And here's what I'm going to say. I was going to say it about Ephesians. I was going to say it when we talk about Ephesians. Crazy. The DB, I'm going to say it right now. Our defensive back room is better in 2024 than it was in 2023. And I think we ain't done yet.
Nope.
To quote Marcus Peters.
Nope.
I like that.
I think we ain't done yet.
And I think we ain't done yet surprising people at a national level. But I'm not going to put it that far yet on 2024. We'll talk about that later. Moving on, and we may have hopefully temporarily lost Darker Knight. But moving on to one of the transfer commits out of a community college transfer, and that's Bryce Butler, a 6'5", 295-pound defensive lineman, 3-star, 0.85, 2.5. We talked about it when we were talking about like the one body type that we are missing, or the one true position is that we don't have a zero, a true nose. I think Bryce is going to spend some time on the interior, but he's more of a big, long-limbed, long-levered 3 technique with the ability to play outside and set some edge. Like he's a unique athlete, and it's going to be more like I'm going to be really interested to see if we can put like Bryce and Sebastian on the field together at the same time. There's going to be a lot of heat coming up the middle.
I agree, man. I think the main thing I like about Bryce is, I'm just kind of reading my notes, is I like the mean streak. He's definitely got a mean streak. Quick off the ball, and albeit while I'll say the one thing I definitely noticed is that he plays a little high. As long as you have, you know, a scheme and a D-line coach that course corrects that, and this isn't JUCO level, you know what I'm saying? I swear there's no disrespect to the JUCO level, but you know, this is P5 coaching for a reason. I think we can definitely, obviously, you know, refine that tool or that fundamental there. But already coming in with that ridiculous length and that ridiculous size, I think you leave him at 295, maybe, you know, kind of fluctuate 295, 305, and you can have him in a 3-down looks, or you can have him, you know, when you're trying to do a lot more like run stop and stuff, or in a multiple defense, you definitely love his versatility for sure. And then also to bringing in a guy who's got, you know, a little bit more physical development, having already played at the collegiate level, albeit JUCO, but playing at the collegiate level already, you know, having a guy to come in there and be a leader in those rooms.
Yeah, I'm also just now realizing I didn't put him on the list because there was so much hubbub going over. Like, I don't think we've talked about Jeremiah Hunter.
Oh.
And I mean, Jeremiah, man, that's one person I think 2 years ago I had him on my, I think it was 2021 breakout players for Cal, just because I think he wasn't wide receiver 1 at the time. I think he was coming in and he was going to be wide receiver 1. And I just saw the ball skills. You can kind of coach a lot of the route running nuances and things like that, but one thing you kind of can't do is when the ball's in the air, you know, when you can't really coach the ball skills that he has. And his fluidity in routes, he's much more wiggly than he's been shown. He's going to have much more ample opportunity to be featured as a wide receiver 1 here. I think his skill set is very. It's funny because I feel like Rashid Williams is a lot like him.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of things people, Washington fans loved in Rashid Williams. A lot of the skill set they loved there, and the size and stuff like that. There, this is a 4-year player in that same mold. So,
I mean, if you could put over 2,000 with all of what Cal has been for the last decade, other than when they had an air raid system, if you can put up 2,000 plus receiving yards over, a 2-3 year career at Cal, you can play receiver.
You can play receiver, man.
With what they've had at quarterback, and when we have a given adequate O-line play, and like I said, a coaching staff that just sleeps and turns out top 10, top 15 passing offenses.
And
Jeremiah's
looking at like how he impacts the game is important. Like disregarding the numbers, like looking at how he garners, a double team all the time.
Was there a better catch made against by a Husky opponent this year
than his catch?
Than his touchdown against us?
I mean, probably not really. Not really. And that's his skill set. So, and that's something that we've outside of we've been used to. Last year, I think we're gonna see a lot of those like Jalen Polk and Rome Odunze contested style catches. He's a little bit more flashy, I would say, at the catch point than Rome. So definitely more like Jay Polk in that regard, where it's just the strong hands, more sort of the plucking. But yeah, I definitely we're gonna need somebody to counter it. But for sure, I think Jeremiah easily can get 900 to 1,200 pretty easy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, let's move on to. Hold on. I need to look this up and see where he landed.
And Bryce had some pretty solid. Bryce Butler had some pretty solid offers. I'm kind of going through his little offer list, and it's littered with obviously some their upper mid tier competing level teams. Like Troy and Coastal Carolina, Liberty, Mississippi State, North Texas, UConn, Buffalo, South Florida, so Charlotte, Southern. So, if you just think about caliber of player, I think we may have been his best. I would think we probably his best offer, but he still had a ton of suitors. Speaking of Bryce Butler.
Yeah, and I think we can talk a little bit about one of the Arizona transfers, Russell Deuce Davis, out of Hamilton and Chandler. Spent a couple years at Arizona. I believe he had 4.5 sacks. I'm really excited. Like I will say this holistically, I'm really excited about the rotation and like the different looks and the different kinds of athletes and just the amount of bodies and athletic ones at that we can throw out on the edges next year. When you look at next season, you've got obviously Zach Durfee, who we will be speaking with on this podcast very soon. Stay tuned for that. You've got Maurice Himes. You've got Showtime Holtzclaw. You've got Voy. You've got Deuce Davis. You've got Isaiah Ward, who we'll talk about in a minute. Who am I missing? Jacob Lane.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got depth on a number of spots on the defense. And 4.5 pressures, like that's not nothing. Or 4.5 sacks, that's not nothing. And situational pass rushes, and particularly with the defensive staff and with what Steve Belichick has proven as a defensive play caller, we're going to be just fine on the defensive side of the football.
Yeah, he reminds me a lot of. It's funny, man. He reminds me a lot of Lance Holtzclaw, which is funny. I think if Lance was down there in Tucson, he would have had a similar, stat line for the season. He had similar production. So I think the more people you can add to that room, I think regardless, it was always, even with a guy like BJ Green, I think it was always going to be a rotation and having guys fresh. I think what we saw with Coach Inge last year, kind of like cycling through 4 or 5 linebackers, I think is what you were going to see a lot of in the front, unless somebody just decides they want to take it to the next level, or 1 or 2 guys decide they want to take it to the next level. We're probably not going to see, week in, week out starters on the outside. I think it's going to change based on the opponent, those types of things. So I think Russ or Deuce, you know what I mean? Solid size, compact, quick, really good athlete. I'm trying to remember if he's the one who was like the Arizona sack leader or whatever. I think he's the one who broke the sack record, something like that. I don't know what it was.
Oh, down in the high school sack record. I think so. Yeah, I think it was Deuce. And I think according to our guy Coach V, I think the only game that he really struggled that Coach ever saw was against Parker.
Against Parker, yeah. So yeah, man, that's high praise right there.
Yep. Yep, and another edge that we got from Arizona, and that's a 6'5", 225-pounder in Isaiah Ward, as a transfer, and again a high 3-star and 88 composite. Hood, have you had a chance to watch Isaiah's tape at all?
So what I've done with all these guys, I've really tried to watch the games, and watch the full games and watch how they, win reps, lose reps, etc. Just with the amount of rotation that they had, it's tough to be like, okay, this guy really impacted the game. Now there's a lot of splash plays, and now you can look at look and analyze splash plays, but until you're kind of the guy, the day in and day out starter, it's really hard to get a gauge of how you're going to impact. I think we have to analyze a lot of this stuff. But these guys will be first time high end contributors. So you just kind of have to look at movement skills, and you have to really analyze length and size and just how certain things translate. You have to look at even reps they lose. If they lose the rep, but they had a crazy get off and they had a crazy long arm, they just weren't strong enough, then you're like, oh dang, he can do that. Just have to maybe put on some weight or have to get stronger. So I'll say the primary things with Ward, obviously love that. I believe he was local. What wasn't he at a point? Or
I
he
believe
was
so.
FS.
Well, and he and his brother Anthony, who's coming up as a linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Bobby Wagner is their uncle, and so I think they played some high school ball up here, and I don't know if they finished their high school careers up here, but certainly a number of local ties.
Yeah, I love the size, man. Whereas we get Deuce is 6'2", I think 6'1", 6'2", something like that, 6'3", 220.
Mm-hmm.
You get a guy who's long and lengthy. This is a 6'5", 230, 6'5", 235. Can put on a ton of weight, and obviously, you got a guy like John Shaw coming up here. This could be this is the guy that we can have another one of those Trice type things, or we can have another Joe Tryon type of body. I would say more Tryon mold. So I would tell fans to really keep an eye on Ward and monitor his development. I would say he comes in, he's probably competing to be edge 2, edge 3. So at the top of that edge rotation for sure.
Yep. Yeah, and then we'll move on to his brother, 6 foot, 225-pound linebacker. Again, I'll kind of yield the floor to you, Hood, in terms of what you saw from Anthony. Certainly with what we have returning with Carson and Zoe Toop and Drew Fowler and the freshman from last year. I think I'd be surprised if Anthony was top 2 or 3 in tackles on the team next year, but certainly a very solid contributor. But your thoughts there, Hood, and Tuck, certainly obviously chime in if you have a chance, if you had a chance to watch the tape.
No, I haven't had a chance yet.
I'll say Ant is just, as we've noticed the last couple of years, it's been very valuable to have a rotation at linebacker. I think, where we see a guy like Cam Bright come in and start, I would say I feel like classification is beneficial here. Having the amount of eligibility he has, but I think he's definitely got potential to be better than Cam Bright at the position, and having that and Ethan Barr, having that be probably linebacker 4 or 5. I can't believe
the what the hell are we doing commitment of.
That was the what the hell are we doing commit.
Hey, wait a second. I think I said, I don't know if I said it on the podcast or in a pre-show or a post-show one time. I'm like, Did Bob Gregory body snatch William Inge?
Bruh.
Offer? Like, what is that?
But I mean, you think about who's in the room. You got Brunner, you got Zotep,
With speed. And then you got Ethan Barr.
then you got Ethan Barr. You got Devin Bryant, Jordan Whitney. So I mean,
Runs like he spent too much time at the bar.
because he got an extra R on it. Yeah, man. I think Gordon has an opportunity. You got to think, man. Spring is gonna be wide open. Spring gonna be wide open, and I'm pretty sure they're not gonna play favorites to their guys. But at the same time, we can have random guys pop up and take people's spots. You know, there's a lot of athleticism, especially on defense. There's not a lot of proven other than like Kel and Cam Fab and stuff like that. And Elijah, there's not a lot of proven production. So in Price Out, so. But yeah, really like both the Ward brothers. Isaiah more to kind of contribute immediately, and then Anthony potentially can be that special teams guy. I think isn't Drew Fowler coming back too? So like,
yeah,
Claude, have mercy. You know they're gonna have a lot. We're gonna have a lot of linebacker, bro. Defense is not looking.
Plus,
like
obviously, like I said, we talked about Dev Bryant and Jordan Whitney, two guys that we all had some very good things to say about on our recruiting pod last year. All right, let's move on to
who next?
If not necessarily by rating, certainly. Go ahead, Tugs.
Was it Price Hawk's first year starting?
Yeah, I would say he got like rotational snaps. I think year one. I think it was a red shirt. I'll double check his classification, but I just remember him coming out. And I remember him being high on UW, and then it turned into like a USC Arizona battle.
Okay.
But I remember when he was like a freshman or a sophomore, because his name popped, and people were like, "Oh yeah, like
a good book."
Yeah, of Ephesians. Yeah, man. I remember his name popped, so I was kind of monitoring him. But then once we kind of fell out, with him, then I kind of stopped monitoring him. But yeah, I think this was his first full year. Yeah, I got to double check that.
Yeah,
I think I saw he had 64 tackles and 1 INT. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
he was definitely
committed in 2021.
He's definitely an athlete, man. I want people to, people are. And this is no shade or none. People got to realize, like, you can't just start throwing out, oh, this guy gonna be a lockdown corner, or this guy gonna be a lot. That's not how that works, bro. You look at people's skill sets, and you're like, how does it translate to playing high level football? And that's why I think his ceiling is like a Kyle Hamilton type of player, because if you look
I was exactly about to say that.
You look at Dom Hampton. Dom Hampton was lined up and running all his reps for the first 3 years on campus at corner, and you see that wasn't his bag position. So at the end of the day, just because somebody is listed as something, they have the experience there. That's where they played in high school. It don't mean that that's the NFL position. And I personally feel like it would benefit just the personnel, having EJ and then whoever's that top end athlete with ball skills on the other side as well, and then have Ephesians
Devon Banks
roaming. Exactly, right?
Please stay healthy.
Kind of roam in the middle of the field. So.
Yeah, no disrespect to Jabbar.
Yeah, that Kyle Hamilton comp is legit.
Because if you watch Arizona, bro,
Ephesians.
it's not that he's playing elite corner. He's an athlete running with the receiver.
No, he's an athlete.
He's an. It's not like, oh, look at the.
He's not just lined up on one side. Yeah, he's not a boundary corner. He's not a field corner. He's just an athlete. So there's times he's lined up in the slot. There's times he's lined up as a deep safety, middle robber. He's everywhere.
And one thing that I would love to see too is if he could take the physicality element to his games to the next level, because he was extremely physical in high school. If he can kind of elevate the physicality element of his game, man, dude, that's a first, second team Big Ten player right there, bro. Like, his size is one thing, but
that's one of his strengths. He excels in bump and run coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Is that he can run with your number one if you need him to. He could be, he could line up on a number one tight end if you need him to.
Corner to
his
set
body's
the
still
edge?
growing. You know what I mean?
We ain't had one of them as a field corner in a long time over there setting edges, boy. With all due respect
Well,
to
I'm thinking with this
Jabbar,
defensive stats mentality, you ain't gonna be able to see the field if you can't come up and be physical. So
I agree. But
that's
why
not
they all
even gonna
big.
be negotiable.
They got a bunch of man
Mhm.
corners and they all big. You see, we talked about all the zone corners. We're gonna have to go somewhere. Whether it was this year, this staff, the next staff, them zone corners was gonna have to get up out of here because
We play man.
Find another time zone or somewhere.
bro. Because Jabbar and Elijah are like, man, we cover zero boys, man. We love, bro. Morrell was putting all them guys on his lands, okay?
Mhm. With a Mai Tai.
Hey, come on, you know.
My top pina colada, whatever. Bring it on. All right, well, let's move on from Ephesians to what I think is literally the largest commit that we've gotten, and that's
Large.
Moose. That's Justin Hilkema out of Santa Clara, and I shit you not,
He big as hell, bro.
6'8", 315 pounds, a 3-star, a .8592 composite. He's got 4 things that you cannot teach and are hopefully looking for in an offensive lineman: size, natural strength, quick feet, and and 5 letters, all capitalized. NASTY. And for as big as he is, he doesn't seem to get too high, and certainly kind of plays within his frame and like managed to stay like in like his feet and his hands within his frame much more than I was expecting. Like I'm really intrigued by this get for sure.
I think intrigue is the perfect word. Like looking at his frame, he can be 30 pounds bigger.
Dude,
like,
I'm looking.
His shoulders, his back, like, bro, look, man, he 315 already, dude. Like he envelops like a lot of these like showcase pass rushing drills, and man, it ain't fair, bro. Now you have to clean up a lot of technique. I think he bends at the waist sometimes because guys are so much smaller than him. So you know and I do think he has relatively slower feet, like a plodding footwork. But I mean, it's no different than what we saw from Joe Award winning performer Julius Buello. Like that's very similar to the person he is. I think,
and even maybe Julius, a little bit better feet than Julius out of high school.
Exact. I was just gonna say that I think it took Julius 3-4 years to start, learning how to pull. Like it's funny when you're looking at a lot of the draft analysis on Roger Rosengarten, they're making and Troy Faltanu, they're making jokes and saying Roger and Troy were having to like slow down for the guards pulling, like because those two were just uber athletic. So I definitely feel like there's a lot of Julius Buello in him, but he's definitely gonna play tackle in my opinion.
Yeah, because he's
a lot of Brino Giacomini in there.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great fuck. That's a great.
They can move, but when he finish, he want to finish you. He don't mind getting that phone booth and locking it and be like, "Oh, you good? All right, here we go."
The first thing I noticed was like his rant, like bro, his back is hella wide, like from shoulder to shoulder is crazy wide, bro. Like he's got to be lengthy too. You know what I'm saying? Pause. But
it's gonna just take a long ass time to get around him to get to the quarterback.
Go
try and go an outside move on that guy.
And also matching him up with a guy like Jake Flores, I believe his name was. Commit for next year. Come on, bro. Don't play with us, bro. This O-line stuff is going to be a concern for a singular year, bro. Like,
if that.
Don't let that spring portal open up and people, what's the meme? Come here,
looking at pictures.
Hell show.
You could easily put 30 pounds on him.
And I don't know if that's smart, but like his frame is like he could be 400 pounds, bro. Like football.
But you could put 10 pounds. Like you put 10 of the right pounds on him,
and it's crazy,
he's good,
and convert some of the baby fat to muscle.
This is a SEC lineman right here, bro.
I don't see
another one.
Yeah, he doesn't. He looks trim. He looks definitely way different than Justin.
And he's buff as hell.
Oh, yeah.
Kick slide. Oh.
Faster Trey Adams. Yep.
He probably got
Let's move on. Let's talk about Jake Flores, who is a 2025 interior O lineman, 6'6", 275 pounds, out of the place that all of the salmon flock, according to Lloyd Christmas, San Juan Capistrano in California. That's a dumb
Lloyd Christmas.
if y'all missed it.
The town's back that way.
Samsonite.
From Austria, throw another shrimp on the barbie. All right, so yeah, he said high 3-star, 0.8726. I haven't had a chance to watch Jake's tape yet, but certainly I know offers from Florida, from Arizona State, a total of 22 offers. Pulling up the complete team list, okay, it's a high 3-star by current rating, but okay, BYU offered, Florida State offered, Louisville, Michigan offer, Michigan State offer, NC State offer, Ole Miss offer, Oregon offer, Penn State offer, Tennessee offer, Texas A&M, SC, Utah. Yeah, this is good.
That's the part that was impressive. What was my biggest thing, bro, is I was like, I need to see this. Not this staff, but the previous two staffs beat out, so even CP, beat out Blue Bloods or beat out
and CP
guys that offers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and the board technically did with Amar Khan, but it was that's a weird flex. He got in there and got the commitment early, and then
Austin
Amar
Mack
blew
to some
up.
extent, but that's about it.
Then Amar blew up, and then he kind of held on to him. But this kid, you're pulling from all these guys. You get an early commitment, and we technically, I think, won over Tennessee and Utah. So thinking about the bag Tennessee can offer, thinking about the NIL process that even Utah
McDonald's or otherwise.
McDonald's or otherwise. People want to talk about Utah not being able to bid or not being one of the big players, but we see a video every other month of them handing out new cars or handing out this, that, and the other. So they definitely put them down there. And if it speaks your language, speaks your language. But snagging him from them, from a lot of these bigger schools is awesome. But in regards to skill set, you said it, bro. Coming in 6'5", 275 already. So if need be, that's a guy that can play year 2 immediately. Can probably even come in and play year 1 if needed or asked to, because I think he's a junior. So yeah, that's an instant impact kind of guy that we have not seen in a very long time, and I appreciate that on the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
A tackle as well, so he's a bag position.
Yeah.
That's a left tackle right there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. All right, I realize we did skip one more 2024 high school commit, transfer, a flip from their class at Arizona, and that is Raheem Wright, a 6 foot, 175 pound defensive back from Rancho Cucamonga, high 3-star, again, a kind of mid-high 3-star, 0.8633 composite. I have not had a chance yet to watch Raheem's tape, so I will yield the floor.
He's an exciting athlete. He might be my favorite athlete on defense that we're getting in this class. So he's, lightning in the bottle, super fluid. Seems like you can kind of line him up wherever. Will come down and hit you, but it's also a natural ball hog. I think he's gonna be a stud. I pegged him. I was like, oh, that's a future captain.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I like
how he carries himself. You just tell he's had bravado about him. He's an alpha kind of guy. He's not just a guy out there making plays. He's gonna let you know about it. He's gonna get his teammates involved. I really like that signing. I think if we'd missed out on him, I think we would have definitely seen him do big things. Obviously, in AZ, but I'm glad things worked the way they did, and he's gonna be a dog because he is a dog.
Size, speed, and stuff. It doesn't remind me of this person, but just the athletic pedigree, and then the
Elite.
kind of specialty training focus that this same athlete had coming out of high school. Dom Hampton. That's what it reminds me of outside. And I'm not talking about skill set, you know what I'm saying, or even maybe play style, but just more so like the guy who's that like freak athlete. He's an explosive athlete. It's what we always make the joke about how we saw the kids in the stands USC game and they were bigger than what they were. Like, so you're gonna see a guy like him listed at 175 to 195 throughout his career, and you're gonna see him and be like, wait, where? Like, wait, hold on, you ain't 210? So I think that is something you're gonna see from Raheem. I think he's just gonna be one of those physical freaks. And talking to some people, that are plugged in, and talking to just some people that have obviously seen him play in Arizona, he is not in Arizona, but in California, he's the one that they say can play the earliest. So it's going to be athletically, physically, and mentally ready to play early. So I wouldn't say that that's what's coming from me, but he's the singular name that's been repeated multiple times about playing early. So I'm excited for Raheem for sure from an athletic profile standpoint.
No, and that makes total sense. Total sense. Like we talked about, with Elias, like huge potential given the length, but gonna need. I think we all think need a couple years of repping and adding weight to the frame. But that totally, that makes sense. All right, we got 2 more commits to talk about. The other 2025, in addition to Jake Flores, the guy that Jake will be maybe blocking for, and that's 6'1", listed at 215 pounds, quarterback out of Chaparral in Temecula, California, and that's Dash. I believe it's pronounced Byerly. The staff definitely likes to have maybe not prototypical pocket passer size, but that mobility. No one thinks that, I'm not, there's no disrespect to Noah Fafita. Noah Fafita's not Caleb Williams. He's not Michael Vick. But he's got enough that you got to pay attention to it. It's that, like, for lack of a term, it's almost like the Jake Browning scramble ability. And certainly see that from Dash. Certainly, obviously, I'm disappointed to see Jackson Collick decommit. A lot that I really liked about his tape from his commit to the previous staff. I don't necessarily think that Dash has the same arm talent that Jackson does, but not like a minus or a concern from an arm talent perspective. But what do you guys think?
I think the same. I think he reminds me a lot of like more of a mobile EJ. I think you have a very similar skill set in regards to being a thrower. I just think you add that element of mobility there. And natural runner, like I think EJ can run, but EJ is running the throw kind of strictly. Dash kind of runs to throw, he does run the throw, but he can also take off. If I can remember on top of my head, I believe he had like 500 or 600 yard rushing or something like that too. So he has no problem kind of making plays with his legs either. Smooth thrower. Still a little bit of a smaller stature, kind of a pusher of the ball a little bit, but those are things that get him in the building. See how you can develop and see what goes on. Pushing forward from that. So.
Yep.
Yeah, he's been getting a lot of push at potentially being the Elite 11 guy when it's all said and done. So there's a lot of potential that people see in him. I mean, he's definitely a big name on the 7-on-7 circuit. So he's one of those up and coming risers where you look at him now and he's like, oh, he's a 3-star, but he could easily be a high end 4-star before it's all said and done.
Yep. All right, and last but
he looks like big and like a big stocky guy.
Yeah,
he's just he's like a little kid, but he's 6'1", 215 already.
Yeah, he's a big little stocky kid. And he's like a physical runner too, so that's super cool. Like I wouldn't say like always an athlete, but he's a nuanced runner. Like he knows how to run. Like Patrick Mahomes isn't a good runner, but like
you have to. Your name is Dash.
I know, right?
Imagine him being a pocket passer named Dash. I'm like,
I'm talking about the ball, y'all. The ball be there.
sometimes it writes themselves.
I love them.
Like sprint right. I see what you did there.
All right. Last but not least is transfer from San Jose State, Brian Parham. I said it when I talked about it a little earlier. Hello, linebacker blitzes.
The miss.
And good luck to anybody who's not expecting any linemen, running backs, and quarterbacks who don't see it coming. Because, oh, buddy.
Yeah, he's extremely physical.
He reminds me a lot of you remember Ernie Davis from Florida State back in the day, Tay?
Oh yeah.
That was just see ball, hit ball. When he see the ball and run a full speed, mom just duck because there ain't he's not stopping. He doesn't chop his feet. That dude runs through people. Just to see somebody that fast and physical at the linebacker position, I was like, that's what we've been missing.
It's so
literally
funny.
What we've been missing.
They've been getting like upper class versions of the guys that we already have, and it's so cool to see. Like
that sounds
him
like
and Devin Bryant remind me so much of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like him and Dev, like I think Dev's a little bit more athletic, but that's a see ball, hit ball, sideline to sideline. Like I'm trying to hurt you, and like I think Dev's gonna be a little bit better in pass coverage than Brian, but. Yep. On rundowns, let's say if Zotup or Carson, are having tougher games, like versus a run team. Oh, like like Oregon State versus where Carson was able to have just a one hell of a game. Washington State, where he's able to have one hell of a game. I think there's going to be plenty of games that Parham can make that same type of impact. But I would say as linebacker 3, maybe that.
I mean, and we're not about to head into a conference that's at all run heavy.
At all, bro. I don't think they're running in the Big Ten.
No, I think you're gonna
pro spread.
Yeah, they seem like they like their linebackers between 220 and 230. So I think you're gonna see both Carson and Zolta lose a ton of not bad weight, but just weight. But you're gonna see just more twitched up and more faster.
And Zotup's body can support it. I think they just bulked him up just because they pigeonholed him into a spot, but. Carson's already kind of light in the ass, so I think he's gonna just kind of stay where he's at. And there's
you got no bricks in your back pocket. That's what's wrong with you.
If anything, he gets fast. But I think Zotup, our green dot, I would say I would expect at least 8 to 12 pound.
Easy.
240.
Yeah, he's playing at 230 this year for sure. He's probably gonna like Dom Hampton.
And he's fat. The thing is that he's fast. Fast too. He just never need if you look at the pick 6 or
he'd be faster. He went up that weight.
He would get 10 pounds lighter. He'd have been in the end zone when he dropped the ball.
There is no reason in college you need to play at 240 or 245 anymore. In the 90s, early 2000s, yes. In this day and age of sideline to sideline, you do not need to be that big.
It's so weird because he's NFL.
Yo, gosh, the monster at Ohio State.
Who?
Andy Katzenmoyer, 45. I'll never forget him.
That dude was.
You guys.
And he had a cowboy collar, so he just looked like
Ernie
super
Davis.
shredder.
That's what. Damn.
I'm old.
Come
like
on,
that.
man.
You know that.
It's the almanac, and it's the almanac up here. Got that.
Hey, shoot! I learned all the rosters.
Shit, what did Lester Towns play at Washington? 245, 247. Like Lester was big as hell.
Oh, jeez.
I learned all the rosters from NCAA. Shit.
You remember LaVon Kirkland? I don't think we'll ever see a 270-pound middle linebacker anymore.
LaVon Kirkland.
Oh God, yeah.
It's like dude just chugging beers before the game. What is going on?
Yeah.
Just you running Amley. Yeah, I'm going to lay down right now. Okay.
He missed out on an NIL opportunity with Costco. He was 30 years too early.
Kirkland signature athlete.
That's crazy. Also, shout out to Mike winning Seattle Sports Player of the Year.
Yeah.
While we're on the pod. Mike
Shouts to the Seattle Times for spelling his name wrong.
Oh my God, I saw that, bro. We can't have nothing good, bro. Like they don't know how to act up here, dog. We got good stuff. Let's freak out.
Come on.
But they don't know how to act up
I
here,
will
bro.
also say shouts to Mike and Rome. Sharpie NIL deal to
that
sign
was
their
fire.
contracts. Like,
Yeah.
but remember, per a certain segment of people, UW don't got no chance to play the game in the NIL space.
We ain't got it, bro. I don't. And
We're
trust
toast.
me, bro,
We're
one
done.
thing that we're gonna see moving forward from my ass, bro, is I'm not entertaining none of that shit no more. I care more about. Listen, at this point, all y'all my rival, bro. Ohio State, Michigan, Iowa, anybody that's Penn State, because they all talking like they are rivals. You know what I'm saying? So anybody that is in my way for this shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, and you're one of these powerhouse teams. That's the whole point of this. Like the regional stuff. Y'all better move on from it. Just the way the conference and the networks is moving on from it. I'm not telling people how to fan, but at the same time, me beating Michigan at home I'm gonna be as hyped as beating Oregon.
Yeah.
They talk just the same way to Oregon fans. So I just want to beat the best teams on our schedule. Have the bragging rights for it.
Have you ever seen a fan base that just won a national championship have a bigger fucking meltdown than the Michigan Wolverines are in the middle of
And
right
they don't
now?
even, and nobody cares, bro. They how fast they moved on to the 2025 offseason. Yeah, so won the champion. Oh, so the recruiting rankings. Look at these. You see these, bro? They don't even care. Like, 'cause obviously it's a little tainted, but like they don't even. CMB media don't even care. Because it basically, if they admit that they won and they explain how they won, then it tells on their process. So they can't be like, oh yeah, well the 247, we can't reference. How did Michigan win? We don't even know how they won. They were old. They were slow. They didn't have a first round quarterback. I don't know. They don't know what to say.
Speaking of a stupid takes, people that think JJ McCarthy's a first round quarterback and Mike's not.
Yeah, that's wild, bro. Like maybe he got a lot that we ain't seen, but I don't. When your team runs 30 times in a row and they see you every day in practice, that tells me all I need to know.
Mm-hmm.
And you got you got 2 NFL receivers too. You got NFL tight end. You got an NFL offensive line, and you ain't able to throw the ball.
I was like, but he just turned 21. I was like, what's that guy doing him throwing the ball?
Quinn Ewers was chucking that hoe.
It's like he's 21 at Michigan and 21 at Central Michigan.
And it's 3-year starter. So we ain't going to act like 2-year starters. We ain't going to act like anyway.
Because let's not beat around the bush. Other than like a couple of Ohio State quarterback play in the Big Ten has been
ass. I mean, only Ohio State was winning the conference year in and year out because they were the only team that adopted the forward pass. The year that they decided to have Trace McSorley throw for anything, they competed for a title. Like, you know what I mean? Like, nobody really competes in that conference because they haven't adopted it. So Ohio State dominated.
And let's call a spade. Keep it a buck. Certain people on our defense or one certain person on our defense don't take 2 horrifically bad angles. That's a different title game.
That's a different title, bro. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I talk about about that game, man.
Just
Definitely, there was a huge part of it, man. That I don't really want to talk about Michigan doing anything. That was
for those that missed the gesture. That was the Gator chomp.
Oh, I see that.
I was explaining to the audience that didn't know why I was randomly doing a seal clap. That's the Gator chomp.
They thought you was a Pokemon or something.
All right. I think this is 2 hours and 10 minutes of shenanigans. Any final thoughts?
Only thing I'll say, man, is tune in to the softball team. Tune in to the gymnastics team. I think cross country is going on right now, bro. Mm-hmm. One thing you're going to see me do on the timeline is show so much love to our women's sports. They're the ones who's going to feel a lot of this realignment the most. And it's real dope that, we can show them a lot of love. You know what I'm saying? So for sure. Lady basketball as well.
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
the softball team just had an awesome weekend in Puerto Vallarta.
Oh, and
They,
by the way,
TV.
stupid officials didn't think Jen Gardner was safe by a mile and a half.
Yeah. So what I don't have Flow TV or whatever that is to watch the softball games. That would have won the game for us. Is that correct?
It would have tied it, right?
It would have tied it.
No, it would have taken. No, it would have given us a lead in the sixth. And
yeah, bro. So it was critical, bro.
Oh, because we had a lead.
We had a lead, and Oklahoma, or it would have
given us a 2-run
I think we
lead?
had a lit. It would have given, I think, us a 2-run lead. I think.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'll double check, but yeah, bro, it was.
We lost 4-3, and it would have been the fourth, but we lost 4-3 in extra innings, and it would have been the fourth run. So
okay,
Oklahoma would have needed another run to take it to extras.
So it was, and it was pretty. Brooklyn Carter was all of us. You know, she was like, "Wait, what? Hold on, wait, what? Hold on, wait." I know. Hey, that's a sister right there. I know that behavior. She was like, "Wait, what? No, you did. You know what? You lucky. I got to be professional. You know what I'm saying?"
Dude,
I wanted to yell at that ref, bro.
Oh, I love her, dude. She's awesome. She's super cool to chat with and stuff. They start their second weekend. It's in
Invitational.
It's another invitation.
Clearwater.
Yeah.
So hey, tune in to them ladies. If you can't, man, while they posting those highlights I set up notifications. You know what I'm saying, for the softball team. That's what type of time I'm on right now. Just really trying to get acclimated to a lot of the new faces. Because this is a winning program. We got to show them a lot of love, especially with obviously a lot of this realignment and stuff. You know, it's these types of sports and these types of programs that are going to need the most support. You know, so and let them know they're not forgotten.
Absolutely.
So they're actually on ESPN Plus starting tomorrow at 6:30. Then they have a game at 9:30. They play Kentucky. They're ranked 18th, and
barbecue.
Follow softball season Ed Strong. He gives live updates, so he's a good follow to follow.
Ed does a great job. Just support Husky athletics across the board, but definitely
across the board.
But definitely support Husky softball. Their
baseball starts tomorrow too.
Yeah, I saw that.
Getting it fired up. Softball is my favorite. Probably it's 1 and 1A in terms of softball and football at the University of Washington. So
yeah.
Hey, if anybody, whoever's watching, if you guys are trying to get to any of these games, man, let me know. You know what I'm saying? I don't mind pulling up with y'all, having some fun. I've been to one game, and it was years ago. So I'm technically still new at this, but I'm definitely true to this too. So if somebody want to show me the ropes, show me a good time, I'm with all that. So,
dude, I was at the playoff game last year when Brooklyn Carter stole home. Dude, that shit was
fire.
I couldn't even imagine.
It was so fire because I saw that coming. I saw the catcher catch the ball and turn her head. I'm like, oh, this shit's coming, dude. She's gonna steal home, and she did. It was sick.
Was that the game that tied the series, or was that the game that sent him to Omaha?
I think it was the game that sent him to Omaha.
I was at the one that sent him to Oklahoma City.
I remember
word to Peyton Manning.
No, Hood, we were there. You were. I saw you, Hood. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, is that the one?
Yeah. I saw.
I think.
I saw. I can't remember.
I wasn't there. I think I was in
Hooligan
Seattle, though.
I'm sorry, Hooligan was there.
Yeah, I was in Seattle, but I wasn't there. And it looks like I don't know. I'm still.
I see me looking at you, looking at me.
I'm still a noob. I'm still a noob to this, but the gymnastics, the women's gymnastics, looks like it's doing hella good too. They get record scores, and I think the judging type of little frustration seemed to be a little over to kind of evenly kind of calling some of these or rating some of these things, and it looks like we doing pretty solid on solid as well in gymnastics too. So trying to get my acumen up for y'all.
Mhm.
All right.
All right,
Well,
y'all.
everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll be back very soon. Like I said, we've got a conversation coming up with Zach Turf.
Got something special cooking.
Stay tuned.
Durf
We're going to
dog.
keep after it. You keep after it. We'll see you on the interwebs and on Husky Twitter. I refuse to call it X. Thanks for listening. Go Dogs.
Go dogs.
Go
Bad
dogs.
down. Yeah, Sarsky.